Smell us now, lady.
Welcome to MeatEater Trivia.
MeatEater Podcast.
Welcome to our special Thanksgiving episode of MeatEater Radio Live. It's the day before Thanksgiving, coming to you not quite live from the MeatEater HQ in Bozeman, Montana, because we're not coming to work on Thanksgiving Day. We love you all. We love our jobs. We love this wonderful company, but no thank you. I'm your host, Randall Williams, and we're joined today by Seth Morris and Cory Calkins. We've got a great show for you today. We're going to discuss our favorite Turkey Day cuisine with the turkey in the room. We're going to take a look at a few listener dishes. We're going to talk to Steve Klein of the Eastern Shore Land Conservancy. We got a migration report from Matt McCormick. We've got another regrettable tattoo. We've got 1 minute fishing. And then, finally, the highly anticipated MeatEater Movie Club, where we'll be discussing the 1997 survival thriller, The Edge. But first, I want to take a quick poll. Seth, Cory, you guys have any Thanksgiving traditions that involve hunting?
Yeah, I do. One that started recently, meaning last year. Just the buddies get together and do like a whitetail hunt of some sort. Last year was with me, my buddy Sam, and Chester. And Chester actually killed a 13-point buck on Thanksgiving morning.
A 13-pointer?
Yeah.
So this is a tradition that has happened once.
Well, we're doing it this year again. We're doing a big doe hunt this year.
I think you're kind of counting your chickens before they hatch.
Well, it's happening.
Cory, what about you? You're not on the camera, but we'll just pretend
We
like
can
you
hear you.
are.
Yeah, I certainly have a tradition that's kind of been paused, I guess, since I've had a kid, who's 6 years old. So I can't wait to bring this tradition back to life. But growing up in Western Montana, we would always go out to Eastern Montana every Thanksgiving weekend and go mule deer hunting. So I can't wait to pick that back up here in a couple years with my kid.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
We have a Thanksgiving tradition at our house, but it's hunting for bargains. Especially when there's a great Black Friday sale. Just a reminder for all you listeners, we've got the MeatEater Black Friday sale going on now. Our biggest savings of the year, up to 50% off your favorite gear across our MeatEater brands. And that sale is ongoing now through Monday, December 2nd. So if you're looking for a Christmas gift for a special someone, or you're just like me and you want to buy stuff that you've always wanted to buy all year long, but you couldn't justify it because maybe it was just a little too expensive, you can get it now on a discount, and your conscience will be clear. Now, joining us in the studio is a very special guest. We have Brogan the turkey, accompanied by our colleague Connor Smith, who's an associate at the MeatEater store in downtown Bozeman. Connor also holds the Montana state record for the 40th largest bull elk ever taken and was on episode 535 of the MeatEater podcast. That episode title is The Fight to Save Hunting. He is also the son of our beloved friend and colleague in the Human Resources Department, Alyssa Smith, who's been on MeatEater and Trivia. Brogan, Connor, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell us, how's it been going at the Bozeman store these days?
It's been going good. We're doing really good on sales, and
Getting a lot of holiday shoppers?
oh yeah.
Excellent, excellent.
Are you guys open over this Thanksgiving weekend?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, you are?
Ooh,
Nice.
tough gig.
Go do some in-store shopping.
Yeah. Now introduce us to Brogan here. What is this thing? When did you get him? What's he like? How many pounds would you say?
Well, we got him about a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of gobbles a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty noisy on occasions,
And
especially in the spring.
did you get him as an egg or as a bird?
We got him as like a 2-day-old chick or whatever.
Oh,
And
wow.
then they,
Freshly out of the egg.
Yeah.
And then they shipped it to like the UPS place, and then you had to go pick him up there.
Gotcha.
Mm.
He's
So you got him through the mail.
Yeah.
Nice. I've done that before with chickens.
when he came in, his snood was erect.
Yeah, he seems
And
chill
it's
now.
now just dangling. So he's comfortable with us at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say so.
Cory, you want to try to get this guy to gobble here for us? This is just to add some sort of seasonal festivity to the show here.
I could try a little something. Might be a little out of season, but
Oh, he's puffing. Keep going. Keep going.
Seth, you got a better one.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, he's going in the strut.
Oh, man. That's a big bird. Our audience didn't get the privilege of watching this thing jump up on the table and take a dominant posture over me earlier. So if you're picking up on some weird body language right now from me and Brogan here, it's because we almost came to blows just a few moments ago. Now, does he have any sort of misgivings about the upcoming holiday? Does he know that traditionally, on Thursday of this week, all of his fellow countrymen will be served on tables around the country?
Not really.
He doesn't. If you eat turkey around him, he doesn't pick up on that.
No, he doesn't realize it.
Huh. Well, must be easy life for him.
Does he have any brothers, sisters, friends?
He's got 2 different hens. That
Oh,
are
nice.
His family. Yeah.
Nicely done. Why don't you hit him with another gobble here? Come on.
Go for it.
Look at he's getting mad.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's wonderful. Well, Connor, thank you for bringing this turkey into the podcast studio here.
Yeah.
Phil, I think, is eager to get this bird out of his place of work.
Well, Corinne was out of the room when I said this, but if he did decided he needed to relieve himself, I would not be cleaning it up. Corinne would. So, and you know what? I think she'd be fine with that and probably happy.
I think it would be worth it.
Yeah, there's a nice roll of cellophane down on that seat, just in case there are any sort of ventings in the back end of that thing. All right. Well, thank you again for bringing in Brogan, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having
Thanks,
me.
Connor.
Later,
Thanks, Brogan.
Brogan.
Good
Thanks,
luck
Connor.
with the Black Friday rush.
Happy Turkey Day.
Thank you, guys.
All righty, gang. Now we're going to talk about different ways that we like to cook Brogan's cousins. This is our next segment. Oh, Jesus. Get that bird out of here.
Yeah, thank you.
See you guys.
I just need to calm down a bit here.
Randall's shaking.
Yeah, your snood looked a little erect.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna talk about some Thanksgiving foods that we like to cook and we like to, more importantly, eat. And we're gonna do sort of a hybrid segment here of Meat Eater menu and top 3. We're gonna select. It's gonna be a competitive top 3. So Seth, Cory, and myself will each draft our top 3 Thanksgiving foods. Once a dish is picked, it's off the table. And we're gonna do it snake draft style. So we'll begin with Seth. Come to me. Go back to Seth. Come back to me. And at the end, Phil will pick a winner. Which one of us has selected sort of the best medley of foods? And I think as you judge this contest, you should take into account how they work together if you're going to assemble a plate of leftovers.
You don't have to tell me, Randall.
All right. So are we clear on the assignment, boys?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm just going to try to think of stuff that Phil will like.
No, don't do that. That spoils it.
All right, I won't.
But Phil's a solid American. I'm sure that his taste buds are very traditional. I don't think we need
Yeah,
to...
this is an interesting strategy because Seth has no idea what my preferences are or favorite dishes. So
That's
I'm excited
true.
to see how this turns out, to be honest.
You know,
I'll stick with it.
I'll just go with what I like then.
All right, Seth. Well, you're going first. So what's your number 1 pick here?
My number 1 favorite thing on Thanksgiving is stuffing.
Stuffing.
Yep.
Excellent choice. Excellent choice. Any particular type of stuffing? Do you do like a little sausage in there? Do you like to
Nope.
do some oyster stuffing?
Nope,
All right.
no meat, just bread and
Bread and
seasoning,
butter and
moist
seasoning?
moist bread and seasoning. Yeah,
That's a competitive choice.
stuff it in a bird.
Cory, you got number 2 here.
Candied yams.
Yams. Oh my goodness. All right.
Going straight for the throat on that one.
Well, I've got 2 picks in a row here because we're doing this a snake draft. So I'm going to go with gravy. Just heavy brown gravy.
Oh, brown gravy.
And I'm going to...
Okay.
Man.
Can we throw in desserts?
I'm going to go turkey. Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
I'm going to go gravy and turkey. I feel a little white bread now. I feel like I only have 1 pick left, so I'm going to have a really boring collection. But I don't think turkey could slip to below the 4th pick. And gravy is an obvious number 3 choice. So back to you, Cory.
Now, excuse me, gravy out of the packet, or are you making
No,
gravy
making gravy out of
turkey
drippings. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's what I had down. So, pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie.
Candied yams and pumpkin pie. Interesting strategy.
Yeah, he's going with a lot of, I guess, a yam is a
Gourds?
gourd.
Gourd
but yeah.
dishes?
Things that grow out of the
Sweet
ground.
gourd dishes.
Or in a can.
Or in a can. Seth,
Green bean.
You got 2 in a row.
Green bean casserole.
Oh, that's
buddy.
good.
Out of a can.
And
Last pick for
one
Seth.
thing that my mom makes, which I don't, probably not a lot of people do this on Thanksgiving, is baked corn.
Baked corn.
Yep.
Just like the Pilgrims did.
Fantastic dish.
I wrote down baked pilgrims, baked corn. I should focus on one job at a time.
I quit the baked pilgrims a long time ago.
Cory, it's your final decision here. Last pick.
Sometimes people just skip straight for the leftover hot turkey sandwiches day of. Like, if you have your dinner, say,
Sure.
at noon, you can still do hot turkey sandwiches by 4 or 5 p.m. So that's my third pick. Hot
turkey-
sandwich.
I don't know if we can accept
Yeah,
that.
I don't
pick,
think we
Cory,
can
'cause
accept-
It's, it's. I mean, Randall already claimed turkey
And gravy.
the turkey sandwich is an amalgamation of several different
White bread.
dishes. I don't know.
Otherwise, my first pick would have been Thanksgiving leftover hash the day after with poached eggs on top.
Oh, well.
Wow.
But I'm not doing that because that's a medley of Thanksgiving dishes. So pick another, please.
Cranberry sauce.
Oh, God.
Oh,
That's
love
what
it.
That's what I thought that was going to slip through the cracks.
Out of a can.
Sauce. All right.
oh yeah. The best kind is when you just pop the can open and you gotta punch.
shake
You
it
gotta
up.
punch a hole in the bottom so it comes out and it's the shape of the can.
Yeah.
Oh, love that stuff.
God,
This could make or break you, Randall. No pressure or anything.
I really screwed up this draft.
I mean, you guys are missing a pretty big one here. I would say.
Mashed taters.
That's
Yeah. But see, now I have turkey, gravy, and mashed taters, which I feel like is not a bad. It's just not very interesting.
No,
to me.
those are like
It's
the
not
boring,
interesting at all.
the boring things.
Yeah, I feel like if your school cafeteria was going to do Thanksgiving dinner, they'd serve what I just picked. So I've got turkey, gravy, and mashed taters. Cory has cranberry sauce, pumpkin pie, and candied yams.
I must have a sweet tooth.
Seth has stuffing, green bean casserole, and baked corn. Phil, do you need a minute?
No, you know what? I had this. This was settled a couple minutes ago. To be honest, Cory. I'm going to start with you. You've got the broadest selection. I mean, that's not the right term at all. Yours is the most unique lineup, I would say.
Oh.
Unfortunately, it's going to end you up in last place there.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm sitting down for a meal, taking all these things together into account, I think I'm just walking away with diabetes.
I mean, you
which
got
is,
you
I
got
probably am already, but that's okay.
you got cranberry sauce, which doesn't go with your other 2 picks.
It sure could.
Phil,
I'm
we
not
have a
looking to
ruling
put
on that?
some cranberry sauce on my pumpkin pie. But,
No.
I haven't tried it.
So what you're saying is it's down to me and Seth.
It's down to you and
it's
Seth.
Turkey, gravy, taters, or stuffing, green bean casserole, and baked corn.
And we've got Randall with the classic lineup. But here's the thing: Seth has my number 1 pick, which would be green bean casserole.
Oh, I knew that would hit Phil hard.
So the rub here is, I think most stuffing is whack.
Oh,
And Randall, you've got a boring white bread lineup, as you put it, but it's a classic for a reason.
Oh.
Dr. Randall Williams is the winner of the draft.
Oh,
Phil.
happy Thanksgiving to me.
Phil.
This reminds me, when I used to deer hunt in
Unbelievable.
Kentucky, would go down, my buddy and I would go down every weekend leading up to Thanksgiving to hunt the same farm. And every weekend we'd go buy a rotisserie chicken, would buy a box of instant mashed potatoes, would buy a box of stovetop stuffing, and would buy a thing of the jellied cranberries.
Oh, yeah.
And would just do Thanksgiving and then Thanksgiving leftovers every weekend leading up to Thanksgiving with the only substitution of the rotisserie chicken. Highly recommend.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
After you get off the tree stand, cold morning sit, you have a nice hearty Thanksgiving meal and you can fall asleep for an hour or 2.
Yeah, you gotta watch that tryptophan. Is that what it is in turkey?
Yeah,
Make
that's-
you go sleepy.
That's what they say on the internet. All right. Well, now that that's settled, we're going to hit some audience submissions that of MeatEater menu items that we think are appropriately festive. So, Phil, why don't you bring up our first selection here? This is actually not festive at all, but it is turkey.
Very non-traditional.
This is orange turkey, like orange chicken, breaded with cornstarch, deep fried in peanut oil. This is from Cole Barclay. He used fresh navel oranges, marmalade, tamari, and honey for the sauce. It's served over Korean sweet potato noodles. And actually, the Korean sweet potato noodles just did it for me.
I think that looks terrific.
I mean, it looks terrific. You can't argue with orange chicken, but
love it.
That kicked it up a notch. Next, we have another turkey recipe. This is wild game perlo. Is that the correct pronunciation? I believe so. This is 2 cups of Andy's White House Farms Charleston Gold rice. Ooh, that's a mouthful. Some homemade wild game stock from the freezer. Added 4 or 5 duck breast fillets, probably a dozen or so duck gizzards and hearts, a couple turkey gizzards and hearts, some spicy venison sausage, frozen and ground to combine it all. Browned all that meat in the Dutch oven, set it aside, and then added pepper, onion, cayenne pepper, and mushrooms. This is lovely. Tasty, playful little dish. Corinne suggested that you could stuff a turkey with this, which I imagine you could do that.
Sure could. Make a great side dish. Some dirty rice, it looks like.
There's many things you could stuff a turkey with.
And if you don't like turkey, try grouse. Phil, hit us with that next one.
Ho!
This is a grouse that, who's this? Reed and Bree Shallow. Grouse from Reed and Bree Shallow. Shot it in Colorado. Followed a recipe in the MeatEater Wild Game Cookbook that turned out amazing. I would also suggest, if you're still planning your Thanksgiving dinner, take a look at the Wild Game Cookbook because there's a lot of tasty recipes in there. And we also have the pleasure there of seeing Boots the cat hovering at about 11 o'clock.
Oh, I didn't even see the cat in the background.
Apparently, Boots also got a bite, so shout out Boots. And finally, we have just a very dramatic presentation. This is a black bear with a bow from Asheville, North Carolina. This is from Dan Chase. He found a recipe for something called Thor's Hammer, which is a bear shank smoked like barbecue, served on mashed potatoes with smoked onions and gravy from the drippings.
That looks amazing.
This looks like it should be like a Halloween meal.
I was
got
going to say
bones on the table.
Yeah,
the knife plunged into the top there.
It does look like you'd serve this at a Halloween party or sort of prop at a haunted house.
Yeah, looks good though.
Yeah, that gravy looks like glue. It's going to stick to your ribs.
That's what you're looking for. Well, I think that does it for our MeatEater menu. Next, we're going to talk to Steve Klein, joining us on the line from Centerville, Maryland. This is Steve Klein, president of the Eastern Shore Land Conservancy. Steve, how are you doing,
Randall?
sir? Oh, I'm wonderful.
I'm getting hungry.
You should be hungry for some birthday cake, as I understand it.
Yeah, it is my birthday, guys. That's right.
Hey, happy birthday,
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Steve's coming to us from Centerville, Maryland. He also said that we could introduce him as coming from second place in the AFC North after an exciting Monday night football game. I was watching that last night, biting my fingernails, wondering what Steve Klein would get today. Would we get a Ravens win or a Lamar choke job, Steve? So I'm glad they pulled out the dub.
We're not doing that anymore, man.
Steve, could you tell us, for our listeners who aren't familiar, what is the, quote, Eastern Shore? And what are some of the challenges facing fish and wildlife in your area?
Sure. So the Eastern Shore of Maryland is the part of Maryland you probably didn't know existed. It's the rural part. The central part of Maryland is kind of Baltimore, Washington. It's the 95 corridor. Eastern Shore just means the eastern shore of the Chesapeake Bay, essentially. And it's a pretty magical place. It is very close to a lot of urban centers, but it is still very rural, still very agricultural in nature, a lot of open space, and a place worth protecting. And that's what we're doing at ESLC.
So can you tell us a little bit about your organization and how you preserve some of that habitat and those working lands that you're talking about? And can you clarify for our audience, there's a term that gets thrown around quite often, a conservation easement. What exactly is that, and how does the ESLC use that to achieve your desired outcomes there?
Sure. I think, our organization is the largest private regional land trust in Maryland. We serve a 6-county region. For anybody familiar with the area, it's Cecil County up in the north, down to Dorchester County, which is where Steve and Cal did a little sick of deer hunting a few years ago for the show. And we have protected north of 60,000 acres in that 6-county region. And the way we do that is through those conservation easements that you mentioned, Randall. And what that basically is, it's not more complicated really than sitting down with a willing landowner who wants to protect their place. And really what does that mean is keep it the way it looks more or less today forever. And we will negotiate over the terms of that conservation easement. Generally speaking, there is room to leave space for a future generation's house, maybe grandkids. You'd love to imagine they want to grow up on the farm and you can build a house for them. But the bulk of that property is going to be held in perpetuity by a conservation easement held with ESLC or Eastern Shore Land Conservancy. And we are fully accredited by the Land Trust Alliance. And what that means is that our staff is on the ground every year on every single easement to make sure that the terms of that easement, the legal binding language of that easement, is being met. So if you're not supposed to be building in a certain area, and we come in and we find out you have been building there, we've got to get the easement back into compliance. That usually is not a problem. Our landowners are kind of conservation first. They care a lot about their places, and they did this, voluntarily. But then we do have to work with the landowners when the easements do come out of compliance. And usually that's kind of a partnership arrangement, right? We don't want to have to, wave our finger at anybody or wag our finger at anybody. We prefer to work with folks to get them back into compliance. But we have 330 easements across those 6 counties I mentioned. We just closed on our 330th last week. So we've got somebody, as I said, on those, every one of those every year. And what's been a game changer for us is drones. So, we can use drones to monitor properties. 20 years ago, not even that long ago, 10 years ago, it would have required, our staff being out quite literally boots on the ground across the whole property. And we've got some easements that are 500, 600, 700, 1,000 or more acres. So that would take, as you can imagine, a long time to cover. What the drone does is your folks can appreciate. This gives us kind of that bird's eye view of the property and helps us see impacts, frankly, that probably would have gotten missed just with, by boots on the ground.
And so essentially what the easement is doing then is, ensuring that a reservoir of wildlife habitat stays in those places, especially as I imagine in close proximity to an urban area. There's fewer and fewer areas like that where you have an open working landscape.
Yeah, I would say in other parts of Maryland, the kind that come to mind when you think of Maryland, I'll use Howard County as an example, kind of an ex-urban county along the 95 corridor, that within the memories of people that are about our age, they can remember being pretty rural. And what we found is that if it's not protected, then it's going to be developed. That's kind of becomes the bargain. Maybe not today, right? But 50 or 100 years from now, you can imagine this land is going to be accounted for in some way. But think of conservation easements kind of like a deed restriction or a legal document as part of your real estate holdings, right? It travels with the deed across future owners of the property. And we have a number of things that we can write easements for. So we have written easements for agricultural productivity. We want to keep farmland farming. We have written it for our local endangered species, the Delmarva fox squirrel, which has been successfully protected, is no longer endangered. We've got easements for scenic value. It's really up to what that landowner wants to protect, right? That's what we want to protect as well. And also, when you're working in the Chesapeake Bay, water quality is going to be a huge piece. So those buffer areas between agriculture and the water, and between development and the water, we want to protect those as well. It's water quality is the name of the game in the Chesapeake Bay, as you guys know.
Yeah. Now, Steve, you mentioned you just closed your 330th easement. Can you tell us a little bit about that one and sort of the backstory there, so folks can get an idea of what this actually looks like?
Yeah, I mean, I would. This is a property that's been in the same family for, more or less, I think 100 years, and they really want to protect their grandfather's vision for this place, and that's what makes this work really so spectacular. I worked on Capitol Hill in my previous life. That's the Capitol behind me over my fireplace. And that was one kind of work. And then you come over here and you're meeting with landowners who get sometimes very emotional about their farms and their forests and their fields. And the idea that they're protecting a place where, their grandfather bought or their great grandfather bought, and they've inherited it over the years, and they're now protecting it for their kids and their grandkids. And frankly, family they're not ever going to meet. And it'll be something that they would be able to recognize forever. It gets pretty special. We have got an ease property here at Eastern Shore Land Conservancy that has been in the same family for, I think, 13 or 14 generations. The property has never been on the real estate market. It was a grant from the King of England, and it remains in that same family's hands. I mean, really, that is kind of obviously fish, wildlife for the reason why I do this work, hunting and fishing, but it's the human element of what does it mean to protect these places, because there's tremendous pressure on this landscape, and there's a lot of money to be made on this landscape. Generally it implies some kind of development, some kind of conversion of use, and to have people say, I don't want to take that course, I don't want to take that road, is really special. It's a treat to work with these folks.
Well, that is meaningful work, Steve, and I'm glad that we could share a little bit about what you're doing with our audience here. It is delightful to see you, sir.
Likewise.
I wish you all the best, and have a very happy Thanksgiving.
You guys too. Thanks for having me on, okay?
We'll see you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. We'll see you.
Happy birthday.
All righty. Now we've got a migration report from Matt McCormick.
Hey guys, I'm Matt McCormick with Flying V, and welcome to the MeatEater Migration Report for November 26, 2024. As we near the heart of migration season, the snow line across Canada continues creeping southward. Heavy snow cover blankets much of the north, with moderate accumulation moving through the central provinces. The southernmost edge of that snow line right here is passing through the prairies and along the U.S. border. Although that southern line is kind of patchy right now, like here in Montana, the forecast suggests that won't stay that way for long. A powerful Arctic front is expected to sweep through all the North Country in the coming days, bringing widespread snow and freezing temperatures that will accelerate the migration southward. This incoming weather system is likely to reinforce all that ice buildup along the northern lakes and rivers, closing the remaining sources of water for all the birds in those central provinces. Areas are currently holding snow-free ground and open water, particularly in southern Alberta and Saskatchewan. They will see rapid changes as temperatures plummet and snow begins to blanket the region. This shift will further compress all those staging grounds and push all the birds further down south into all those southern portions of the flyway. Listen, guys, for every waterfowl hunter across the country, the timing could not be better. The combination of fresh snow and hard freezes up in the North Country is a recipe for strong migration days ahead, with birds likely, with how heavy that frost and freeze is, to push faster and further in search of open water and food sources. We saw today hundreds of birds pouring out of Alberta into the U.S. with no passport required. Man, these guys are coming. Keep an eye on the weather and be ready. That next wave of birds is headed here soon. These are the weather fronts we all dream about in the off season. So it's time to pack your gear, call in sick to work, and hit the field. That's it for this week's Migration Report. Good luck out there, be safe, and happy Thanksgiving. Back to you guys.
Man, Matt should have been a weatherman.
Oh, I know.
That was fantastic.
I know. We've got to invest. Phil, I know you're top of the line here for tech upgrades, but I think we could do wonders with a little
With some green screen.
green screen.
Some key action.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of reminded me of John Madden a little bit. He could have been up there a little
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Drawn and right.
We need some like Doppler radar and stuff.
Totally.
Oh yeah, it'd be great.
Totally. Well, our next segment is tattoos I regret. Oh, yeah.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've looked at my tattoo again. It really seemed like such a good idea when I was drunk last summer in Ibiza. The tattoo says a puss in a pot will always find more beans. What the fuck does that mean? It's a tattoo I regret.
Oh, Phil.
It's 2 weeks in a row on that one.
That's so good.
And I think we need to take a tattoo break so people don't get sick of it. Because when people get sick of these, I'm going to have to do more, which,
Well,
I guess that's not a bad
No.
thing.
No,
I like
actually,
it.
I first heard that particular jingle. What would you call it? Your
Drop.
Your drop.
Sure.
I was driving down the Paradise Valley. It was dark. The road was empty. And I was just watching the lights, go by. And, man, it really hit. It really did.
I'm glad.
Well, today's regrettable tattoo comes from Jason Desjardins. Is that you?
Desjardins?
Desjardins. If you have a hunting or fishing related tattoo that you regret, please email us at radio@themeateater.com. I'll repeat that again because I screwed it up. radio@themeateater.com.
What would radiator@themeateater.com be? Like selling
Car parts.
Car parts?
We need to expand. Yeah. Get into a new...
Send us your hunting rig.
Get into a new sphere. So this... Jason writes in, I thought I would share the hunting tattoo I most regret, which is an interesting way to put it because it seems that he has several hunting tattoos that he regrets, but this is the one he most regrets. Because she had done a great job on all of my others, I let her do my turkey. While the job she did was fine, the placement and lack of scene was not. I trusted her judgment and regret it. I should probably regret my gnome packing the unicorn tattoo more because it came from your t-shirt. I even had the gnome hunting the unicorn in another tattoo before I got the pack out one. So that actually is an impressively detailed gnome packing out a unicorn tattoo.
Yeah, that looks
It's
sick.
got the first light logo.
I wish I knew the significance of the numbers.
He was referencing it, correct?
Yes, but you have three. Okay.
6143 on the little thing hanging off his bow there. I don't quite understand what that is.
We can go back to the turkey.
Maybe that's but here's the turkey he regrets.
Here's the thing about this turkey. Its tail fan appears to be a Jake tail fan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a full beard.
It's got a big beard.
Oh.
And who's the guy in the bushes back behind about to shoot one right up the Texas heart?
No,
he's going to shoot one right behind him.
Well, the geometry of it. Yeah, I was going to say the geometry of it makes me think that hunter is shooting something on his bicep rather than the turkey on. Or is that a leg? Oh God, that's a leg. No, I've totally screwed this up.
I think he's in some muck boots.
No, I think that's
it's an elbow.
I think it's an elbow.
Oh,
I wish I could see whatever it is at the end there. I'd be better able to tell whether it's an arm or a leg.
You got to wonder if he straightens his arm out, if the point of aim changes.
Oh yeah.
I know this show isn't live, but for those watching it live, sound out. You think it's an arm or a leg? Let us know.
Because it does sort of look like an ankle at the bottom, but now I see that's
bit.
Could be.
he's probably wearing khakis. Yeah, it's a wrist.
Yeah.
I thought this was an ankle bone.
Anyway,
yeah, I mean, Seth, you've pointed out some sort of incongruity here with the turkey, biologically speaking.
see, that's an inaccuracy I would not have picked up on. Just looking at the art, I think that's a fine tattoo.
I know.
The detail is impeccable.
Yes.
I know. I wish.
Yeah, it is good artwork.
I wish I could see around the corner just to get a sense of the full scene. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know that he should regret this one.
Yeah, take it to the grave.
The hunter, though, the aim point is strange. It almost made me wonder whether that hunter was part of a different scene.
Yeah, maybe there was a scene under that turkey that he really regretted that one, so he slapped the turkey on top.
There's more ink down there.
I mean, I will say, of all the tattoos we've seen thus far, that's probably the least regrettable, other than honking for a bonkin', which I maintain is not regrettable in the least.
No.
But Jason, thanks for sharing your ink. And please, if you have a tattoo that you regret, again, that's radio@themeateater.com.
Did we want to? There's a third one here that I. That
silly me.
Yeah, give me a sec.
Now, what part of the body
There's
is
the gnome
that?
again.
That's the gnome.
You guys can talk about the gnome while this thing processes. I didn't have the third one ready. I didn't see it.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
actually
coming up.
The gnome. I'm not sure that if you showed me that, I don't know how that varies from the T-shirt. I feel like it's a fairly realistic reproduction of that original artwork.
Another great looking tattoo, in my opinion. But here's the third one.
Yeah, this one's incredible.
Oh yeah, so it's a.
Isn't that Kelsey's art?
It's a buck.
I have no clue.
It's a buck skull, and on the right antler, from the viewer's right, there's a gnome perched up between the G1 and G2, and then on the crown of the skull, there's a unicorn, and it seems that the gnome is about to ambush this unicorn with an arrow. And on the left, the G1 and G2 look like sort of trees. They've grown into trees, and so it's a fantastical setting.
There's also some names on the left
I saw
hand.
that.
Signatures in there.
Benjamin.
The hunters are. That looks like the long hunters.
That would let me.
It's missing a bullet hole.
No, that's Kelsey's the originals right there.
That's not too far off though.
Well, I like this. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to look at. Phil, what are you getting out of this?
I think
you're an art man.
No, I was thinking I have a shirt that's like a tree growing out of the ground, but it looks like a hand. There's a bunch of like fungi and trees growing out of the out of the hand. It kind of reminds me of that. Who's this guy's name again?
Jason Desjardins.
Desjardins. Your tattoos are great, man. I don't think these are regrettable at all.
Yeah.
These are fine.
A-okay by me. I like these. They're not. They don't take themselves too seriously. That's one thing that I really feel strongly about in the tattoo world.
Just like honking for a bong.
When I look at I just see Matt McCormick giving a migration update on this one. See the birds up top?
Yeah,
we got a flying V up there.
He'd be all over that.
Now are they headed north or south?
Well, the sun is.
That's up to you.
Setting in the. All right.
Oh hey, so Brady, our 1 minute fisherman.
Oh shit.
Oh, he's here. He's in the call.
All right.
So we can bring him in.
Our next segment is 1 minute fishing.
Oh.
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? Go ahead. Make my cast.
Now, 1 minute fishing is where we go live to someone who's fishing and they have 1 minute to catch a fish. And if they're successful, we'll make a $500 donation to a conservation group. This week, our angler is Brady Bush, coming to us from Michigan. Brady was on Trivia, episode 600, when we recorded from the University of Michigan while we were on the tailgate tour. And Brady will be fishing for a donation to the University of Michigan's fishing team. Brady, you look chilly. Tell us a little bit about where you're standing and what you're fishing for today.
Well, I am standing on a river, on the bank of a river, and it feels like it's 20 degrees out. So I'll be fishing for some bass, but might be a tough bite.
What are you now? What's your rig here today?
show you here. I'm going to be throwing a little jig.
All right.
See that?
Nice.
Yep.
Looks
I'm guessing
good.
the water's pretty cold, so they'll probably be right on bottom. But we'll see what we can do.
All righty, sir. Well, your 1 minute will begin with your first cast. So whenever you're
Okay,
ready,
I'm gonna have my dad hold the video for me.
Fantastic.
We all good?
Yes, sir.
Whenever you're ready.
And we're off. Cast, it's very relaxed.
Yeah, what a calm evening out.
Well, I was speaking more about his body language and demeanor with that first cast.
Well,
It's
yeah.
just casually hucked it out there.
It's like he's been there before.
Yep, he knows that you can't force it.
Oh, he's bringing it in.
Good time of day to
Cast
fish.
2.
Oh,
Sun looks low in the sky.
Yeah. That's when the hogs come out to play right here.
He's working it. We've got 28 seconds. 30 seconds, sorry. This is counting upwards, which is
30 seconds.
unconventional.
Same spot. Oh.
Another cast.
What's going on?
15 seconds left here.
Come on.
Come on, Brady. Don't let us down.
7 seconds.
5,
Music
4,
ended a little early, sorry
3,
about
2, 1.
Oh, man. It's not easy.
Brady, time's up, buddy.
You know what? You're not alone. We're in kind of a slump right
Yeah,
now.
we're in a slump right now. That's why we went to you. We thought you'd be at the
I know.
golf course pond and you could break our slump here.
I know. I wish I could go to the secret spot. I'll save that for Will.
Yeah. Well, you guys stay warm there and
I'll
have
try.
a very happy Thanksgiving. Say hi to the boys and
Will do.
we'll catch you next time, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Go blue.
OH. Somebody says I.
IO, yeah. We are.
Good kid.
Tough, or fishing this time of year is tough.
Oh yeah, I know. When we launched this segment, I don't think there was a lot of forethought put into seasonality.
Yeah.
So
I think things will pick back up when we can start drilling holes.
we should go south. That's in the budget, right? Yeah.
Or find people. That
Right
are
after we
just
get
down
that,
south.
right after we get that green
That would be
screen,
practical.
we'll get a couple bus tickets. All right, gang, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. It's the MeatEater Movie Club.
I've been on the edge of my seat.
There we are.
This week we're reviewing the 1997 film The Edge. And I was trying to decide whether I should read this faster because a lot of people hate this. And there are a lot of comments to that effect. And then a lot of people love it. So I thought maybe I should try to do a better job of just articulating and pronouncing. Jesus, that's. In any event, we're just going to do it live. The Edge, 1997, employs the cliché genre of a classic survival thriller to probe fundamental questions about civilization, knowledge, and human nature. Through David Mamet's characteristically precise dialogue, the film explores how different forms of power, intellectual, physical, and financial, operate when stripped of social context. The film follows billionaire Charles Morse, played by Anthony Hopkins, and fashion photographer Bob Greene, played by Alec Baldwin, as they struggle to survive in the Alaskan wilderness after a plane crash. Their battle against the elements and a relentless Kodiak bear is complicated by a profound psychological tension, as Bob's apparent desire for Charles's wealth and his wife, played by Ella McPherson, creates a dangerous undercurrent of mistrust. Charles embodies accumulated learning and wealth, while Bob represents a more instinctual physical presence. Their dynamic grows increasingly complex as the cruelties of the wilderness erode social hierarchy. Charles's encyclopedic knowledge, initially presented as a trivial freak, to use his words, becomes the pair's salvation, challenging conventional assumptions about practical mastery versus theoretical expertise. In doing so, Mamet's script cleverly subverts expectations about masculine competence. The Kodiak bear in The Edge operates as both a flesh and blood antagonist and a metaphysical force, embodying nature's indifference to humankind. More than just a predator, it represents what lies beyond society's boundaries, raw, amoral power that cannot be reasoned with or bought off. As Charles and Bob are stalked by this formidable beast, and then in turn lay a deadly trap for it, their own relationship mirrors the same predator-prey dynamic, suggesting that the line between civilized man and savage beast is more permeable than we'd like to admit. The bear's unflinching pursuit of the men becomes a test of both moral and mortal survival, not just whether they can kill it, but whether they can do so without becoming similarly savage themselves. Here I'm referencing a line from the film where Anthony Hopkins screams, "Kill thee, MFer." Early in the film, a curiously disfigured lodge owner claims that once a bear tastes human flesh, it desires nothing else. This claim foreshadows the metaphorical taste for blood that develops between Charles and Bob, suggesting how a single transgression of violence can then become habitual. Don't worry, I only have a page left. Perhaps most significantly, the film explores a question that has been central to Western intellectual life since the Enlightenment. What is the relationship between civilized man and the state of nature? Charles's fortune, rendered meaningless in the wild, previously insulated him from precisely these primal confrontations, yet his intellectual curiosity, perhaps a luxury afforded by that wealth, provides tools for survival that mere physical prowess cannot match. The mounting tension between Charles and Bob reveals how quickly civilized behavior can erode when social structures disappear. Their struggle moves beyond mere survival to encompass questions of moral choice. Does civilization represent a genuine conquest of our baser instincts, or is it merely a thin veneer covering them up? Here, I'm sure we're all thinking that there's a striking parallel between Mamet's screenplay and Joseph Conrad's 1899 novella, The Heart of Darkness, which provides a rich interpretive framework for The Edge. Both works examine what happens when civilized men are forced to confront wilderness and their own savage potential. Like Marlowe's journey upriver in the Belgian Congo, Charles and Bob's trek through Alaska strips away social pretense to reveal underlying truths about human nature. I'm going to skip the last couple bits here, but I found it interesting.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I can go on.
No, you should.
Just as Kurtz goes native and reveals the savagery underlying European colonialism, Bob's veneer of sophistication cracks to reveal his own predatory intentions. Charles, like Marlowe, maintains his civilized perspective while recognizing darker truths. His survival depends on acknowledging and confronting these truths rather than denying them. While both works depict civilized facades cracking under pressure, they arrive at different conclusions about whether such events reveal civilization's fundamental hollowness or test its genuine strength. The key distinction is that while Conrad suggests civilization itself is built on a foundation of savagery, The Edge allows for the possibility that there is something more to civilization than mere social pretense. The film's resolution and Charles' final acts of mercy and sacrifice suggest that the true, inextinguishable core of civilization is not the trappings of wealth and learning, but our capability for moral choice in the absence of those trappings. So that's the end.
Well said. Took the words right out of my mouth.
I'm glad you took it home.
Well, I appreciate your guys' support. I was beginning to get a bit self-conscious. I think I've taken this too far, and we need to scale it back a little bit.
I disagree.
I don't think so.
Now, in preparation for this segment, other than composing that, I looked at a review from Roger Ebert, who gave it 3 out of 4 stars, and he actually hit on one of the points I wanted to discuss in this film. So he writes better than I could. He says, having successfully negotiated almost its entire 118 minutes, The Edge shoots itself in the foot. After the emotionally fraught final moments, just as we are savoring the implications of what has happened, the screen fades to black, and we immediately get a big credit for, quote, Bart the Bear. Now, Bart is one hell of a bear. I loved him in the title role of the bear, but this credit in this place is a spectacularly bad idea. Did anybody else?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's an emotional scene.
There's an incredibly poignant final line
and then
that fades to
and then
black.
it just says,
tears running down Hopkins' face.
It says, thanks to Bart the Bear. This film, the original title for it was Bookworm.
You know, he does love to read.
Yeah.
He spends the first third of the movie reading that book his secretary gave him.
Yeah, it's called Bookworm, and it was written for the screen. The alternate titles were Wild, Wilder, The Wild, Into the Wild, Wilderness Now, Dead Hunt, Deadfall, On the Precipice, Over the Precipice, Edge, The Edge, On the Edge, The Bear Roared, The Bear in the Brain, and Bloody Betrayal. I think The Edge is probably the best of those choices.
Sure. Yeah, that kind of it suggests a precipice.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Harrison Ford and Dustin Hoffman both turned the role played by Hopkins down. Robert De Niro actually read for Hopkins' part, but he was too concerned that having an animatronic bear wouldn't work with viewers. And so he turned it down for that reason. He was reluctant to work with he thought it would just deflate the film. Alec Baldwin showed up for shooting this with a full beard, and he refused to shave it. They almost shut down production and brought in Bill Pullman. The belief among the cast was that Baldwin had recently gained some weight, and he was self-conscious about maybe some extra weight around
that's absolutely
his
true.
gobbler. And when he was told to shave the beard, according to Vanity Fair, he said, quote, MFing movie producer, I knew this was coming. And these are obviously the full expletive. The BS Hollywood mentality telling me, MFer, no talent, MFing. How predictable to see that good old Hollywood integrity at work.
Wow.
So Baldwin, acting as Baldwin does. And then finally, my last bit of research that I'll share with you before we dive in. According to the bear trainer, Lynn Seuss, she said that Hopkins, quote, acknowledged and respected Bart like a fellow actor. He would spend hours just looking at Bart and admiring him. He did so many of his own scenes with Bart.
Love it.
Interesting.
Now,
I also read that this was his second movie with Bart after Legends of the Fall.
That was what I was going to ask you. Yeah, they were reunited. I went into this thing, it's Baldwin and Mamet. Here we're going to boot up Glengarry Glen Ross. But I didn't realize that there was also another
reunion.
The real, more recent reunion was Legend of the Fall, Bart the Bear and Anthony Hopkins. Gentlemen,
really quick.
Yeah, Phil, get in here.
Just right up top. I normally, I kind of hate the argument that a movie is bad because it is unrealistic. Like, when you sit down and watch a movie or play, you're already suspending disbelief. Is it like we're watching people pretend to be other people, pretend to laugh and cry and say words that they're not actually thinking. But that being said, I think part of the assignment here is that a lot of the stuff in this movie is ludicrous, which I think we'll dive into.
I felt the same way about Star Wars.
A lot of it's in the details.
Yes, much like the Jake tail feather you just called out.
Yes,
that's not something I would have noticed.
Yeah,
a lot of it's in the details.
Like I feel like Steve always, the Revenant, Steve and the Revenant's a big thing. But I feel like most of Steve's beef with the Revenant is that that doesn't look like North Dakota or whatever. Yeah. Not that the movie is up its own ass and doesn't work for a bunch of other reasons, but I think this movie rocks.
Spellbinding scenery.
Oh yeah,
man,
beautiful.
Remember when movies used to be shot on location?
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
where was that shot at?
The headquarters for the filming was Canmore, Alberta.
Yeah,
okay. And they filmed some of it in Banff and around Banff.
Yeah,
but they built those Ewok village-looking lodges specifically for the film.
Really?
Yeah.
The one on stilts in the river bottom?
Well, all of the buildings were just built out of raw, the docks were outrageous, but I'm just getting ahead of myself here. Initial thoughts on the film. What was your reaction, Seth? You hadn't seen it before.
I hadn't seen it. No, I watched it for the first time last night. I just couldn't help but pick out all the details that were just so wrong in this film. It was a cool film, entertaining. Mm-hmm. Not my favorite, but lots of details.
Yeah.
Like from the beginning all the way to the end.
Cory, you've seen this several times, but this was the first time not edited for television, so you got to enjoy the full Mamet screenplay.
Yeah, and the coined curse words there are maybe everybody's favorite part.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get that mother effer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've seen it probably 10 times. 9 in a row on AMC, and then this was the first time getting to watch it unedited, raw, on Amazon, which was great.
A much richer experience, I'm sure.
And it's been remastered, so yeah, the cinematography was gorgeous.
What about? I mean, I'm sure we have plenty of things to pick at from an unrealistic perspective, but what for you guys? Was there anything that you thought was redeemable from an experienced outdoorsman's point of view?
Well,
like things that were
things that worked for you, and you didn't go, "This is absurd."
Oh, I thought
there wasn't a lot.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job, honestly, keeping it pretty realistic. I mean, it's very hot. Well, there's a lot of minor
I mean,
things,
I have a list of stuff that I was just jotting down when I was watching the movie.
Sure. Well, why don't we go into what's unrealistic?
Yeah, I can go.
Yeah,
I can talk about that more than the realistic stuff. Lots of things were wrong with the plane, like all the scenes in the plane. One of them being when they're just in the cockpit all talking to one another, and the pilot didn't have his headset on, and no one else had earmuffs. That's not how it works.
They're not screaming at each other.
Oh, come on.
Those planes, it's so loud inside. Yeah. That doesn't work.
Tough
see.
Critic here.
The guy who owns the lodge said he wasn't hunting. He would be out hunting, but he's not hunting because his rifle wasn't sighted in. They asked him why his rifle wasn't sighted in. It's because he said he didn't have a bench rest.
Oh, yeah. And then Anthony Hopkins said an ironing board makes a good bench rest.
Yeah. Or anything.
Yeah.
Ironing board might be kind of flimsy.
Yeah.
Actually.
They kept saying it's a Kodiak bear.
Yeah, I thought that
big
was
red flag.
They would multiple times they showed it snowing down low along the river, and they'd get up in the high country. It looked like it's summer.
Yeah, it was a very I thought the vegetation also was strangely inconsistent.
Yeah,
they just go from like conifers to aspens, and Sydney and I had a long conversation trying to figure out what season it was.
Yeah, same. Which that plays into another point. One more thing though, the squirrel that they trapped was a gray squirrel.
Yeah. It was a great basket trap.
And then
how long did it
they
take
took off running away from it. It kept me thinking, whatever happened to that squirrel?
Oh yeah.
That was when the helicopter came over, right?
Yeah.
They were so close to a meal.
Yeah. And then I stopped taking notes after this point, but from the time that they wrecked the plane till their first meal was the flesh from the grizzly bear.
Yeah.
Which seemed like a lot of days. But
I couldn't keep track.
I couldn't keep track of how many days.
I think there were only a few nights.
Yeah, I think it was only 2 or 3 nights before they kill the bear.
Yeah.
Unless there was some sort of time skipping that happened. But
yeah.
And the only time they kind of stop for water is that waterfall they come across, like up in the high country, and they kind of just wipe their face with it. They don't ever really drink.
Yeah.
Oh, I liked it. I believe Alec Baldwin told the other guy to stop drinking, didn't he? Like
maybe I didn't
his
pick up on
assistant,
that.
he's drinking from the water, and he's like, "Come on!" I'm like, "What are you guys doing?"
Yeah. I think. I mean, Alec Baldwin, notorious asshole. I think he's great in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's such a hard part to pull off. I mean, it's like the biggest asshole, but he does it very realistically and with just he puts it all out there.
Smarmy Lothario.
And the behind the scenes, gossip plays into that a lot.
Oh yeah.
I like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those didn't look like blanks that he was loading into his lever action either, did it?
No.
No.
Too soon?
It happened before.
I thought probably one of my favorite parts of the film was the spike ball attack that they used on the bear. Of all the traps that they were going to make for the bear.
Was that just to piss it off, or were they trying to kill it?
I think they're trying to kill it, but what the problem is those spike balls had only previously been deployed in Return of the Jedi by the Ewoks
That's
against the AT-STs, I believe.
You're right, it is ST.
The chicken walkers, yeah. So I was struck by the similarity between that little booby trap and Return of the Jedi, and then I was also struck by he was describing, and he showed that photo of how he wanted to kill the bear, and I was like, he's just going to Braveheart the bear.
Mm-hmm.
which Braveheart came out 2 years before this, and they one of the most jaw-dropping scenes in the film is when they raise all the sticks and all the charging horses get impaled on the sticks, and then they just used that same trick on old Bart, which I mean
killed Bart instantly.
It was cool. It was cool, but I was
you think there was like a missing, like a deleted scene where he and Alec Baldwin were saying, "Hey, you saw Braveheart, right?"
Yeah, I just thought
the movie was sick. Right?
I just thought it was. Yeah, I mean, we talk about this as being the glory days of when there wasn't CGI and when we had original screenplays, and I was like, man, they should have just done something else to kill the bear that didn't look like Braveheart.
Yeah. Well, Bart did a hell of a job in that movie.
Incredible.
Oh yeah.
Although I thought
Real
that if I had to pick bone with Bart's performance, I thought that frequently his facial expressions were hard to parse. There were some times like when he was bouncing the log, and it just looked like he was sort of like smiling,
like having fun.
I'm sure he was in real life, kind of playing with it.
Some of those shots though, with his lips sticking out, like, that was terrifying.
Yeah.
No, I mean real bears in movies, it's just. What are we doing?
After they killed Bart, I was shocked in how fast they tanned his hide.
Can I say I was lukewarm on this movie until it cut to them wearing the hide. I was like, this movie rips. Like, this makes no sense at all, and I'm here for it. I love it.
Yeah,
that's when it came alive to me, and I was fully bought in.
At some point, Alec Baldwin adopts sort of an apron and cape.
Yeah,
and then Anthony Hopkins wears a leather tunic like a Viking. And I also thought there were a couple times in the movie where like they both went through very obvious like shifts in how they were playing these characters, and it was just like, whoa, he got weird all of a sudden. And at the end of the film, I kept thinking that Anthony Hopkins was Sean Connery. Because he just sort of adopted this like Sean Connery persona.
Yeah,
I mean, it was it's a classic sort of unlikely pair. I mean, Anthony Hopkins is clearly like on the spectrum in some sort of way.
Yeah.
And also, did they ever say what he does, or is he just a rich guy?
No, the guy's like I liked it at the beginning. The grubby guy working at the float plane dock was just like, or at the airplane hangar. He's like, "You're Charles Morse, the billionaire?"
Yeah.
It's like, let's just establish our characters. To your point about him being sort of spectrumy, for lack of a better term, I thought that Anthony Hopkins' character was very similar to Hannibal Lecter.
Yes.
A little bit.
Saw that a few
They're
times.
both big readers. They retain everything they read. They have a photographic memory, and they're sort of eccentric geniuses that obviously have a difficult time connecting with people in a genuine way. I saw this and I thought, man, no wonder Hopkins got cast for this role.
Yeah, you really feel bad for him towards the end, too. I mean, his new buddy that he's stuck in the woods with tries to kill him for his wife. And
I think, I'm just, sorry this is going on. I have two more reactions.
Whoa.
One.
We have plenty of time.
One, if you're cheating on your spouse, don't get the spouse a watch that says happy birthday and then get your adulterer, or I guess adultering partner a watch at the same time, and the same receipt has both of them, and the one says for your birthday and the other one says for all the nights we spent together.
Thanks for all the nights.
Just like don't get a watch that says I committed adultery with you. Wink, nice.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about the performances being all over the place. You're right, but it kept me on my toes because I was wondering, like, okay, is Baldwin's character going to just be an asshole throughout the whole movie?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a point after they kill the bear and they're wearing the hide and everything.
Baldwin has his taste for blood.
Yeah, they're buddies for life now. And then when he does find that receipt, I mean that scene is completely over the top. But I love how they frame it in the foreground with Baldwin like slowly loading the rifle.
Oh yeah, totally.
Sips of whiskey.
While Hopkins is reading the receipt, and the camera looks up at it.
And then the other thing, as far as how he's a billionaire, I got some sense of that by that sandwich he made at the beginning. He put she asked him, she's laying in bed, which if I were him, I would be like, this is the most. That was, I thought, the most unrealistic part of the movie. Is this beautiful woman lays down in bed and pulls the blankets up to her chin and says, "Would you go get me a sandwich?" But then he goes down and he's got a big ham to carve from, and he takes two like silver dollar-sized pieces of ham and puts them side by side on the bread, like they're fried eggs, and that's his sandwich. And I'm like, no wonder this guy has $1 billion in the bank, because he's too cheap to make an actual sandwich.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that to be very odd, the sandwich request. But then I guess it made sense because they wanted to get him down in the kitchen so they could surprise him.
If I were him, he took it like this is an everyday thing.
Yeah.
He was just like, oh, your midnight sandwich? Of course.
I'd be like, you're in bed already, and you probably brushed your teeth.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was the 80s, or I guess the late 90s. Nobody brushed their teeth back then. My memory serves. So would you recommend this movie to someone? Fellow outdoorsman, could you recommend it to them without losing all of your credibility?
It would be low on the recommendation list for me.
Cory?
100% for me. But if you're even just the least bit paranoid, I wouldn't watch it.
Phil, what do you got?
Big movie star performances in a movie shot on location. It's a relic of the past that I think we need to hold on to.
Yep.
I give it thumbs up. I recommend it. Yeah.
You guys texted me to ask if we were still doing MeatEater Movie Club when I was about an hour and 10 minutes into this thing, and I was so pumped at that point in time. It's rare is it there a movie where I'm just like, I wonder how much of this is left, you know? Or I'm sorry, rare is there a movie where I don't ask myself how much of this is left. I followed along. I thought it killed the time pretty quickly, and it was enjoyable, and I would recommend it. I'll watch it again.
I got to say, when I was watching it, there wasn't a point in time where I'm like wanting to shut it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, no dull moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the highest compliment you can pay a film.
Yeah.
As a cinemaphile.
These days, especially.
Well, gang, I'm glad I took 9 pages of notes on that. Apologize for the lengthy intro. But listeners out there, if you're in the chat, weigh in with your thoughts on The Edge. And with that, I think that's all we have for today's show. So have a very, very happy Thanksgiving. Know that we are all thankful for you out there listening and watching and YouTube. And enjoy your day with food and family and friends and loved ones.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, folks.
That's about as sentimental as I'll get. MeatEater Radio Live, signing off.
Look out for bird strikes.